good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, whenever you're watching, welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's Pixel Club. Today's a first. Today we are playing a Sega CD game of Jaguar XJ220. I wanted to show this system. It's running on the MiSTer FPGA, but the ability to emulate so many systems in hardware for the MiSTer FPGA, it's just a case of working through many different platforms and showcasing what we can do. This was a Sega CD, and the Sega CD streamed off a CD disc, and what you're looking at the moment is the type of intro that was never really possible on cartridges because of the memory constraints, but the little scrolling demo you see here literally was streamed from the disc. It also has in-game audio as well. The in-game audio is a lot better than what you would get on cartridges. It's proper audio tracks. Anyway, this takes us to the start of the game. We have a choice of options here, and we will be picking Grand Prix. So the game loads, Grand Prix, excuse the bell, and we're going into new game, and we're going to do start the race. First thing we do is we pick the audio, and I spend a little bit of time mucking about in the radio here, just having a look. I do eventually pick a track. We pick track number 1 before we kick off, but it was just a case of seeing what it could do, listening to the different sounds that were available. I hadn't played a Sega CD game in a long period of time, and I forgot about all the great things that this platform actually brought to the Mega Drive, because essentially you had the Sega CD that sat underneath the Mega Drive and the Mega Drive plugged in on top of it. So although you still got the 16-bit Sega Mega Drive, Genesis, wherever you come from, it was supported by the Sega CD. So we picked track number 1, Speed Boy, because I think it was called Speed Boy, and we're going to be entering qualifying. So if you look to the left at the moment, there is a picture of the Mega Drive with the CD sat underneath. That's what it used to look like, a big chunky beast, but absolutely great. So kick off on this game, and I go into racing. And one of the things you might have noticed and thinking, what is he talking about this time, is the title of the video card when you go into YouTube. And I want to give you OCD for every racing game that you play. I want you all to suffer like I suffer, where you look for perfection on the systems of old and systems of new. And I want you to consider this. When you play racing games like the one we're placing now, you have a track that is essentially round. You have to do laps on this track, and there's qualifying laps that you need to do, where generally you go around once, and in the main race you will do the same track time and time again, usually 3 times, maybe 5 times, depending on how complex it is. And I want you to think of this. Think about the bridges. When you consider a track that is round in shape, so essentially a circular track that you are going to continually loop, if you go under a bridge like we just did a moment ago, if this game has been coded correctly, and if the authors and designers have got really good attention to detail, you will have to go under a bridge a second time. Any oval track will have 2 bridges for you to pass under, and here is the second bridge that we do at that point. As I suffer from OCD, this is one of the annoying things that I pick up on, and I want to share it with you just so that you can have some of the life challenges that I have with nitpicking. Games like Outrun, where you get onto the second stage where you go under bridges, do not count, because you're continually going down a single track that extends further and further. So we've qualified, and we've qualified in last place. That is to be expected for a man of my skill, a man of my ability, and a man that spent the whole of qualifying talking about bloody bridges. But there you go, my OCD is shed. So Speedy Boy we were not, so we're going to pick Funky Fever for the second track. And off we go by hitting the eject button. XJ220 is loading. This is the first race. We're going to start in 20th place, looking at our qualifying position, and we will see how far up the grid we can make it. When I saw this for the first time, which was actually today, I thought, bloody hell, loving the graphics, loving what I see here, loving the prettiness of this. We're not in a game where we've got monochrome cars that we're racing against. You know, they are using the full abilities of the Sega CD coupled to the Mega Drive to create a nice little game here. And the attention to the detail, you know, I'm slowing down by just releasing the gas here, but at the times I do brake, the brake lights of the car go on as well. And you know, it's a cracker. There you go, just see them there. Cracking little game here, and the brakes do work. And what I've noticed is there does not seem to be any rubber banding on this. You know, I'm at point 14 in the track, and I'm in a position where I haven't got 15 continually snapping at my heels. It has allowed me to get ahead a little bit as I try and get into 13th place. You know, I find the graphics, you know, for a system this old, make the game completely playable. Here's bridge. I think that was bridge number 1. So we should see another bridge before we go over the finish line, if we're where I think we are. Yeah, so the graphics bring a lot to this game, and also the sounds as well. Aside from the great background music that is continually streaming from the image that I have of the Sega CD. So I'm using a CHD image, which is basically everything combined. There's the second bridge, OCD fixed for this lap. Yeah, so it constantly streams from the Sega CD. If you look at the light on the MiSTer FPGA, you know, the disc access light is always playing, which shows that there's audio that is pulling from the image. And the beauty of this is you're not messing about with bin and Q files. It is everything combined in a single image, and I think it's compressed hard disk. I can't remember CHD, I can't remember exactly what that stands for. They are used in MAME a lot, and they're pretty damn good, and it was lovely to see that they are ported across to the MiSTer FPGA in a recognizable media format. On some platforms on the MiSTer FPGA you don't read all formats. For instance, the Atari ST that I don't recall I've done any videos on at the moment, that has .st for the discs that you can load in, but I believe there was also an IPF version of discs for the Atari ST, which is, you know, well, if I don't know what it is, it must be a highly accurate reading that copies absolutely everything. But there was a pause for me being stupid. I think, oh, what is it? Oh, I don't know. But you know, I say the CHD format on this makes this a wonder and a pleasure to use. Enjoying this game very much. I'm in position 8 and we're on lap 2, so you know I'm fighting to catch up with position 7, and I spent one so bad at being qualifying this that I started in position 20, so you know we have gained 12 places, which isn't too bad. I spent a while messing about trying to get past a red car, and now we're pursuing effectively the rest of the pack, which is probably a long way in front of us, and we're going to be unable to catch up with them. But this track feels natural when you play it. I did have a free run of this before I actually started this video, just to understand the controls. When I pick up games to play, when I pick up, you know, things that I haven't seen before, I generally don't bother reading the instructions. I want to explore, I want to visualize, you know, find out what's going on for myself. You know, there may be keys that I'm missing. You know, there could be a key that brings up the map of the track. I'm going into these tracks fairly blind on what to expect, which is why qualifying is such a good idea, to have that in place. At least you get an idea of what hell on earth you may have in front of you. But as I go into these games blind, you know, I want my experience to be as real as possible when I place. You know, once in a while I will talk over the video as I'm playing the game. This is one that I have recorded earlier and I'm talking over again right now, so you get the commentary effectively overlaid on the top, and I can share things that, you know, wouldn't have been particularly good, and this is one of the reasons why I do this. So one thing that wouldn't have been great is when the game finishes, when you finish the level, you get an opportunity to do something to your car. This is the first time I've actually generally cut a video. I try not to cut videos. I spent about a minute and a half faffing around on effectively the end race sequence to find out what it wanted me to be doing, and it was a minute and a half of where I would have been sitting here with a really dumb look on my face, thinking, yeah, I just don't get this, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? Because because I don't read the manuals, but you know, I want to be surprised by the gameplay that I have. If it was a really complex game, like Cytron on the ZX Spectrum, and if you've ever played that, that's a strategy game that is very, very difficult across 10 levels of a moon base. Yes, you've got to read the manual, but for a game where you essentially have an accelerator and brake, no you don't. So we're now getting the race stats to see how well I did. We go to the podium here. And there is no position for 8th place. So 1, 2 and 3, but what about number 8? He did well. He overtook 12 cars, or 11 cars. So position 8th, earnings 8,000. Race results, we are JG, I believe there, so we've come in at number 8 and we've got 3 points. We're 3rd on the leaderboard as well. And the Constructors' Championship, I guess, well, where are we going to be? I don't know where we are here on this. Oh, we're number 4 because we're a Jaguar. We're in 4th place. So here we are with the screen that I was stuck on. It said repair red items first. I spent a long time faffing around thinking, is this upgrades to the car? Can I make it go faster? But it looks like it's actually true to what it wants. It wants you to race a Jaguar car, so all you can actually do is repair it. And if I hadn't have been doing the recording on top of the video, what I would have done is, you know, been sitting here thinking, oh, what's this? And I'd have nothing to talk about because I wouldn't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. So we're going into race 2. We're only going to play this qualifier and the next race because, you know, we've done a fair bit of racing and this gives you a really good idea of, you know, what the game is. I'm not going to talk about bridges for this lap, the qualifying lap, or the main race, but I want you to work out, do I have OCD or not on GP round 2? Again, I speak of the graphics, you know, loving what they do here, loving the brakes on the car as you brake. Obviously you don't get accelerator lights, that would be rather daft and rather silly. I suppose they're your headlights so that cars coming towards you can see you're accelerating towards them. But no accelerator lights that I've ever seen in real life. And when I was playing this, it's the little details that count. I noticed that the enemy cars, they will too brake, and you see them braking as well. It's not as if they just naturally slow down. You know, when we're in the main race, there will be times that you see them brake. And it's the effort and the details that the programmers have put into this that really does make this a standout game. If I had owned this when I was young, because I think I did, if I did have a Mega CD for a while, or a Sega CD, whatever the official name in the UK was, but if this was one game that I had, I would have been coming back to this time and time again. You know, it's a good racer, it's a fun racer to play today. So back then, it would have been an exceptional racer to play because times have moved on, but this is a retro channel, and you know, it is good to, you know, have great racers like this. I think we must be near Mount Fuji or Mount Many Fujis. You know, there seems to be quite a few mountains in the background with a lot of snow on top. So I think it's Mount Fuji. Yeah, you don't really get any clear indication. But this is another nice touch. Look, the signs have gone red. The signs are red. And what that means is it's actually a sharp turn. So you need to come off the gas, slow down and brake more. And it's the little touches like this that make it, you know, a lovely little game. So we are slowing down automatically and we've qualified in position 20. So our failures continue, position 20, and it looked like the first place position was 9 seconds in front of us. So we're going for Indigo for the track for this particular race. XJ220 is loading for the final race of this video. We need to do better than 8th place. You know, I've gone to all the effort of this video to do some little touches. If you hadn't noticed, the icon is a little bit different on the top left. I'm holding a steering wheel this time to indicate that I'm playing a racing game. Now I've got a steering wheel icon. Of course, the problem is going to be remembering to put that icon in place for future videos, but today we have it. And you know, today we're playing this brilliant Sega game from many years ago, and it's nice when you crash as well, you slow down, and that is actually reflected on the screen that I struggled with, which I mentioned, where you repair the car as well. You know, one interesting test would be to not actually repair your car. Keep racing with a more and more damaged car to actually see what kind of impact it has. I don't know what impact the damage has on you. You know, I've started out with effectively a fully repaired car for this demo. Oh, here's a bridge, but we're not counting bridges, as I said, we won't be doing that. So for your own OCD, see whether this track has been coded well. with the many Fuji mountains in the background. But yeah, no, the game, as I say, is a lovely game, and the attention to the detail, excuse me, don't like to cough, so apologies about that, don't like to cough on live video, but that has been building up for some while, so I'm very sorry about that. Yeah, the attention to detail is great. Look at God, I've lost my words because I threw myself off track with everything. You know, look at the petrol gauge here. So you've got the speed gauge, which is showing you effectively, you know, how well you're doing in terms of revs per minute. You've got the mile per hour counter on the bottom right, but the fuel actually drops as you play this game. And I believe that if you have a longer laps, or you get maybe more laps that you have to do, e.g. it's not going to be 3 laps, it's going to be a few more than that. Maybe it gets to the point where you have to pull into a pit stop. When you play the game and when you have a look, you know, this area to the right here is a pit stop, so you know it may be possible to pull in that and you get an automatic refuel. Don't know how that would work. Perhaps it will be a bit like the F-Zero game on the Super Nintendo, where you recharge your energy by going into the yellow shaded area, which appears on the track in some places, and you know, perhaps it happens exactly the same way, or you just have to drive through it. But you know, who knows? Didn't get that far, didn't run out of petrol, but we're only playing a couple of laps here of a game that can go on and on. And you know this is a long game as well, because it does give you an option to save the game at some point. You can save your progress. So I suspect that, you know, there is a lot of gameplay here, you know, maybe 8-10 tracks, and you know, they're going to get harder as time progresses. It's not as if they're not hard now. You know, I'm on lap 2 of 3 and I'm still in 8th position, so you know, I've hit the barriers there as well, which slowed me right down. I'm driving an automatic car, so I don't need to worry about gears, but you know, I've only got really a lap or so to fix this problem. You know, I've got another 40 seconds of this lap, you know, 30 seconds probably, judging by the best of the time that we can see on the top right hand side. But I need to get into visual range of the lead car of the pack, or at least the losing car of the leading pack. Again, the red bollards there, the red signs there, which indicate it is a sharp turn, and it just makes all the difference to these where we see the little details, and it makes me wonder, as you go through the game, what other little things will I pick up on later levels. So we're into the final lap. This is the final lap. I'm still in 8th position. I've got 1 minute 40 odd seconds to try and better where I am. But I say, I would play this game, you know, if I could go back in time and play it time and time again if I owned it. You know, this is a brilliant game, and part of me sits here regretting a little bit today, damn, why did you not find this sooner? And I will be going back to this. You know, I won't do any more videos of this. You know, I try and only really do one video of one game. Yes, you get different games which are the same game, or you will do at one point on different platforms. You know, I've like the in fact, you've done it already, the Tetris one, where I went for a high score on the black and white Tetris, and then I replayed it on the color Tetris, and you know, it was the same game essentially, just the color modifications. Hence, it was Tetris DX for the color Game Boy. But you know, I try not to revisit games. But you know, we are in 7th position while I've been talking, so this is great. Can we get to 6th position? But at least we're doing better on technically a slightly harder track than the first one. So rather than overtake 11 cars to come in at 8th, we've overtaken 12 cars to come in at 7th, unless our luck progresses here. Probably not very likely, because we're only 20 seconds away from the end. But you know, look at the petrol gauge. We've got some beeping going on now, and our fuel is desperately running out. So this makes me believe that as the tracks go on, because this feature is there, we are going to have to start to refuel our cars. But we are approaching the end of the track, and we've come in at 1:38, so that's 3 seconds better than our previous lap, and we are going to be in 7th position again. So again, 1 position better on where we were before. So back to the podium. We know there's going to be no 7th place, and sorry about the phone beeping there, but this is done live on top. But this has been a fun game. So this has been Jaguar XJ220 on the Sega CD, running on the MiSTer FPGA system. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the game. I'm the Gentleman. This is the Gentleman's Pixel Club, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe.